Keisha Butts with a CTV News update. Tonight, we begin with a big sports story, a major development for the Washington football team. The DWAYNE Haskins era in Washington is over. After 2 years with the team and several up-and-down performances, Haskins has been released. Coach Ron Rivera issued a statement saying, quote, "This afternoon I met with DWAYNE and informed him that we would be releasing him. I told him that I believe it benefits both parties that we go our separate ways." Haskins violated the NFL's COVID-19 policy on 2 separate occasions and had a bad game against Carolina yesterday. We'll have more on the game later. Here are the latest coronavirus numbers for Maryland and Prince George's County. There have been 1,985 confirmed cases in Maryland over the past 24 hours. The state's positivity rate is at 7.42%. Here in Prince George's, more than 53,000 people have been diagnosed with COVID-19 and 1,042 people have died of the coronavirus since the pandemic began. After complaining it was a bad legislation, the president last night signed the coronavirus relief and government funding bill. By signing the bill, Trump ultimately avoided a government shutdown that would have began on Tuesday. The $900 billion COVID-19 relief package extends unemployment benefits to millions of Americans. Under the measure, some adults will receive a $600 stimulus check.
Before, it was a much larger check. The previous stimulus package was a much larger check. I mean, $600. How much rent is that going to pay for? You know, it's certainly not going to pay for 3 months' rent for a lot of people. If the Democrats control the Senate, I mean, and it'll be close. It'll be 50-50 if they win both of the senatorial runoffs. They won't be able to pass everything the progressives want, because there are some people like Joe Manchin, for example, Senator Joe Manchin, who's really a pretty conservative Democrat. He's not going to support things that are really, really radical in his viewpoint. And that means a lot of things that, for example, Bernie Sanders wants probably are not going to happen no matter what at this point, because the conservative Democrats won't go along with it. Now, if the Republicans win the one or both of the senatorial runoffs, then probably almost none of that's going to happen. There's probably still going to be a second package, but it'll probably look more like this one.
Meantime, the House is considering a measure today to increase stimulus payments up to $2,000. As the pandemic continues to take a toll on household finances, one local lawyer says you might want to consider filing for bankruptcy. Shireen Middleton, who owns a law firm in Greenbelt, says despite the stigma, bankruptcy can give people and businesses a fresh start. She says filing for Chapter 7 can wipe out all of your debt from credit cards, medical bills, and personal loans. Before you file, though, she says there are several factors to consider.
Get an honest look about their current financial situation. They need to determine, are they making it month to month, or are they just barely treading water? Or if they're drowning, in other words, they're using credit cards to pay other credit cards, or they're not able to make all of their monthly payments as they become due. These are the type of warning signs that we don't want to have snowball into a worse financial situation.
For more information, visit middletonlegal.net. Investigators in Nashville, Tennessee have identified the man believed to be responsible for the Christmas Day RV bomb incident. He is 63-year-old Anthony Warner of Antioch, some 20 miles outside of Nashville. Investigators say DNA discovered at the scene matched DNA they found at another location. The explosion rocked the city of Nashville early Christmas morning, blowing out windows of nearby buildings and scattering debris for blocks. A key break in the investigation came when agents were able to locate the vehicle identification number on the suspect's van. That information, along with tips, led to Warner's home.
We're still following leads, but right now there is no indication that any other persons were involved. We've reviewed hours of security video surrounding the recreational vehicle, as well as we saw no other people involved or around that vehicle.
Investigators are still trying to piece together the motive. Police are searching for the driver of a pickup truck who slammed into a Clinton home yesterday, causing significant damage. The incident happened around 2:30 a.m. near Derby Road and Arborough Drive. The incident damaged the front door area and bay windows. The homeowner, who was sleeping at the time of the crash, wasn't injured. Police are investigating a fatal pedestrian crash that happened in Laurel Saturday night. The victim is 58-year-old Mary Chi of College Park. According to a preliminary investigation, police believe Chi was walking alongside the northbound lanes of Washington Boulevard when she was struck around 5:30. Officers say the driver of the striking vehicle is cooperating. You're watching CTV News. I'm Keisha Butts. We'll be back with more news in a moment.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
County police are looking for the person or persons who shot and killed a Temple Hills man over the weekend. The victim has been identified as 34-year-old Anthony Neal Hunter. The crime happened Saturday night on the 6800 block of Red Top Road in the Chilham area. The victim was discovered by police inside an apartment. He had been shot numerous times. Police are asking anyone who may have information to give them a call. We now know the name of the victim in a fatal shooting incident in Lanham over the weekend. He is 28-year-old Isaiah Stanley. Officers were called to the 6500 block of Finns Lane early Saturday for a report of a shooting. Stanley was found outside, suffering from gunshot wounds. He died later at a hospital. Anyone with information on this incident is asked to contact police. For more than 200 years, it has carried people and things across the Potomac River from Maryland to Virginia. Now, White's Ferry, based in Poolesville, is ceasing operations effective today. The ferry operator had been in court for more than 10 years in a dispute over docking rights in Virginia. The property owner in Virginia sought $600,000 from White's Ferry, claiming the service failed to pay rent for years. A Virginia judge instead awarded the company, Rockland LLC, $100,000. DUI-related fatalities were up in the region in 2019, this according to a report from the Washington Council of Governments. The organization says there were 90 alcohol and drug-related fatalities last year, up slightly from 2018. Across the region, there were 280 traffic fatalities in 2019. 3 days and counting. That's what you have left to make some last-minute changes to gain some tax benefits for 2020. Financial advisor Murat Dorkin says you can start by looking at your tax withholding amount. If you received a tax refund last year, you need to make some adjustments.
You might want to start 2020 with talking to your accountant about adjusting your withholdings. So there's less withholding so that you get to use your money throughout the year versus waiting for a big refund at the end of the year. Any contributions that you make to a retirement account, you do have time to do those. You could do those before the end of the year, but you also have time in April up to April for like IRA or SEP IRA contributions. So that's not really time sensitive as much. And if you're over 72, you do not have to take an RMD, required minimum distribution, from your retirement account. And that is part of the COVID CARES Act, some of the things that were put into place for that.
Dorkin adds that if you have any stock or mutual fund losses, it might be a good time to sell those and take up to a $3,000 loss on your taxes. Maryland is a top state for charitable giving. That's according to Wallet Hub. The finance publication ranks Maryland third nationwide for its charity. Utah and Minnesota took the number 1 and 2 spots respectively. Well, let's get a quick check on our 3-day weather forecast tonight. Partly cloudy with a low around 30. Tuesday, sunny with a high near 41 and a low around 24 degrees. Wednesday, partly sunny with a chance of rain in the evening. Daytime temps reach a high near 44 and a low around 36. Thursday, showers are likely throughout the day with a high near 57 and an evening low around 43. And now for the community calendar. Watkins Regional Park is still adding a sparkle of light to your holiday season. The annual Festival of Lights is still shining bright until January January 1st. Drive through and see millions of lights and familiar characters with your loved ones. Visitors are asked to purchase their tickets online through Parks Direct or pay in person with cash only. Credit cards will not be accepted in person. For more information, visit pgparks.com. And that wraps up our CTV News Update. I'm Keisha Butts. Have a good night.